So you're considering dating. Good for you. Let's talk about some things to consider before you finally pull the trigger. That's not how you pull the trigger. Before you pull the trigger. But before I begin, if you're new here, hi, I'm Emily, and I create Christ-centered conversations about topics missing from mainstream messages. So if that's your cup of tea, make sure to subscribe. And while you're at it, if you want to follow along with the behind-the-scenes stuff of my life, you can follow me on my Instagram, which will be linked down in the description box below. Without further ado, let's get on to the video. Just as a pre-frame, you might hate this video. Sorry. First thing to consider before you start to date. Dating is an important thing. If you're in high school, don't do it. Like, legitimately, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, just don't do it. It's gonna be bad no matter what way you go. So you ask me, Emily, really, how could it be that bad? Let me tell you, one option is you date for 2 years in high school and then you break up when you go to college, and it's really heartbreaking because you've had this person who's been in your life, who's been so important to you for the past 2 years, and now nothing? Obviously, we go through breakups in life and hard things, and it's not good to just ignore all our problems and not address anything and not want to go through any hardship, but I'm just trying to save you from unnecessary heartbreak. Many people don't make it out of their high school relationship. Now you might say, but Emily, you did. You dated in high school. You're a hypocrite. And I'm not. Hear me out. One option is you date for a little bit and then you break up. Another option is you date for a little bit and then you go to college and you keep dating, and all of a sudden you're doing long distance. And if they're really important to you, you'll keep doing that. Or you go to the same college but then you're trying to figure out college with a boyfriend, which for me personally was actually really nice and helpful. And I loved having Hunter at my college. These are just some of the options of what could happen. Another option is you get out of high school and then you get married. The biggest problem with dating in high school is that you're not ready to be married. This might not apply to everybody. I'm speaking to the general public, so if you know that you're an exception to this rule, that's fine. For the general public, you're not ready to be married in high school. And so what's gonna happen is you're gonna start dating in high school, and you're gonna date for 4 or 5 or 6 years until you're ready to get married, and all of a sudden, you've done what is that? Almost 30% of your life with this other person, but you're not married. And you know what's gonna happen is you're gonna become bonded to them. You're gonna become tied to them emotionally, physically, spiritually. They're gonna be a really important person for you. And so this creates 2 different problems. One, if you find out that this is not the person for you, which is okay, that happens. That's why we date. We date to figure out if this is the person for us. And so sometimes we find out that no, it's not, and that's fine. But if you do, you've just committed to so long of a time before you got to the point of realizing this is not what I want. Or you date for that long, and all throughout it, you're getting more and more close, and you're realizing this is the person I want to marry. And so you're ready to marry them, but you're not ready to get married. I am exposing myself a little bit. I hope this is okay. But this is basically what Hunter and I had to go through. Is now by this point, we've been dating for almost 4 years. And so we feel like, wow, we are ready to get married. And we were at that point, 2 years into our relationship. It took us 2 years and we were like, yep, this is the person I want to marry. But we were in high school. We couldn't just get married. We weren't ready for it. And so what happened is it caused, one, a lot of hurt and pain because we felt like we were ready and we couldn't do it. 2, it caused a lot of missteps in terms of physical intimacy because we wanted to be married, but we weren't. And so you just have a longer time. It's more tempting. You're growing and you're getting to know the person. And so you're growing in all these other ways, but at some point you just have to stop. Because you can't grow too much physically before marriage. You can't grow too much spiritually before marriage. You can't grow too much emotionally before marriage. And so then what do you do when you've reached the limit of how much you can grow and yet you're still not married? Either you feel like you're at a standstill for 2 more years until you can get married, or you push the boundaries and you keep growing in ways that are not appropriate for a dating couple. That's why I don't think people should date in high school. It's not wise. So if you're in high school and you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out if you should date or not, please just don't. See if you can give it up. It's really difficult. I wasn't able to. But it's also caused me a lot of hurt and pain, and I don't want you to go through that. So anyway, if you're in high school, don't date. Second point. Man, I wanted this to be like a kind of like a lighthearted, haha, so funny, things that you should keep in mind before you date. But it's actually becoming a lot more deep than that. So I'm sorry. That's the way it is. Number 2, if he's not a Christian, don't date. There's no point. I'm just being blunt here. And people are not going to like that I'm being blunt, but sorry. If he's not a Christian, there's no point in dating him because you're not going to get married to him. And if you are going to get married to him, that's a totally different conversation because we should not be yoked with unbelievers. And the more time and emotional energy you spend attaching yourself to somebody, the more you're going to be like them. And so if you find someone who's super cute and super sweet, holds the door for you, met your parents, all these things, but he doesn't know Jesus, he doesn't know the most important person in your life, it's not going to work. You're unequally yoked. You love different things. Sure, you may have some things that bond you a lot, and that's really sweet and awesome. But in the long run, it's not going to work, and it's going to cause a lot of hurt. It's going to make you feel bad. It's just, it's just really not a good idea. It's really not a good idea. Here's what we have so far. A recap. 1, if you're in high school, don't date. 2, if he's not a Christian, don't date. Now we're at the third step. This is where it gets interesting. This is where we get into, basically, in my opinion, it's a go from here. You just have to be wise. Okay? So you're out of high school, which I don't just mean, oh my gosh, we just graduated, now I can start dating. I mean, you're ready to get married within the next year. That's my opinion on dating. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I think it's best to not date until you can be married within a year. Because if you're not mature or ready for that, for marriage, for what dating is working towards, why are you beginning to date? It doesn't make sense. So if you're not in high school and you're ready to get married, and you have somebody who is a Christian, there's a lot more freedom in this now. Now, you are inside of God's will, specifically with the Christian thing. It is God's will for you to marry somebody who is a Christian, if you are a Christian. Now we have to think about wisdom. So you got the check from God's will. What does wisdom say? This is where you talk to your parents, if they are godly believers. This is where you talk to your pastor. This is where you talk to his friends, your friends, and you get the vibes, If the people around you are saying, no, I don't know if this is a good idea, you should probably say, I don't know if this is a good idea. If everyone around you is giving you the thumbs up and something in your heart is saying, no, don't do it. Don't do it. If you're not confident, if you have some sort of conviction, even if you're unsure what it is, don't do it. Dating can be a really wonderful, awesome thing. And marriage is a really important aspect of life, and it's a big decision. And so it's super exciting to start dating. And so if you have these check marks, if wisdom says yes, if God's will says yes, now what are your preferences? Do you want to date this person? If you don't want to date them, don't date them. If you do want to date them, and you've gotten to this point, date them. I don't know, that's how I make decisions. I think some things we overthink a lot in life. I'm guilty. And obviously this is a big decision, but in most cases, you're good. Oh gosh, I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing to the wrong person. You will figure it out, and you will grow no matter what decision you make, and it will be good. And even if you make the wrong decision, the Lord will use it to grow you and shape you. Unfortunately, that might suck. And so that's why I'm making this video, so that we can make wise choices and decisions, and people don't have to experience as much pain in the whole dating process. So those are my 2 biggest advice. Don't date in high school and don't date a non-Christian. And after that, you kind of have some freedom. You want to date the person? Date the person. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like it was a little more serious than some of my other ones, but we need some change of pace sometimes. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe and turn on your post notifications because I post videos like this a lot and you don't want to miss them. Until next week, have an awesome life.